Welcome to Innovation Rebels, the podcast where we shatter conventional thinking and challenge the status quo in pursuit of groundbreaking business ideas and transformative changes for humanity and the Earth. Join us for exclusive insights, inspiring interviews, and behind-the-scenes stories from visionary entrepreneurs to eco-friendly tech industry pioneers who are reshaping entire sectors to impact investors. Our guests are rule breakers, risk takers, and trailblazers who have defied the odds to achieve extraordinary business success on their own terms. Each episode, we dive deep into the minds of the most audacious business leaders who refuse to accept the limitations imposed by tradition and instead embrace disruption as a catalyst for progress. Our podcast is tailor-made for visionary entrepreneurs and forward-thinking individuals who crave unconventional wisdom and seek to revolutionize their industries. If you're tired of the same old strategies and ready to challenge the boundaries of innovation, Innovation Rebels is your platform for inspiration, insight, and empowerment. And now please welcome Swanet Kunzi, your host and guide on this journey into the uncharted territories of future thinking and innovation.
Welcome to my podcast, Innovation Rebels. My name is Swanet and I'm your host. Today, my guest is Tim Vieira, and he is the CEO of Brave Generation Academy that started in 2020. Brave Generation Academy provides an online curriculum that is recognized by the world's leading universities as a gold standard of international education. So I'm really curious. Tim, let me know a little bit about yourself, about your entrepreneurial spirit, and who you became the person you are now.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Swanet, for having me on this podcast. Well, who am I? Well, I'm a quite a positive person, someone who really believes that difficulties and challenges are opportunities. So I guess very entrepreneurial in that. I come from South Africa, so I grew up in a time where you had to be very entrepreneurial. We went through a difficult time in that country when I was growing up, and obviously we had to overcome many challenges. So I understood that overcoming challenges really is something special. I was lucky enough to see certain humans like Nelson Mandela and F.W. de Klerk and all of those managed to turn things around when everything looked at its darkest. So I had that. I was an immigrant from Mozambique to South Africa. So again, we had to learn whole new languages. We had to take on that challenge of my grandparents going back into the workforce and my parents in the workforce and us as young kids having to contribute to the family. So I understood that being entrepreneurial gives you independence and gives you freedom when you can chase your dreams and get paid for your talents. So it's always been like that. I then was in Angola where we set up what's still today one of the biggest media groups in the country. And again, all about delivery, all about being able to overcome all the challenges of a country that had just come out of war. My two sons were born in Angola. And then, we came to Portugal in around 2010. And again there, my daughter was born in Portugal. So as you can see, we all from Mozambique to South Africa to Angola to Portugal. And then, I took on this role of being inside the startup ecosystem, the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and again, making people believe that they can chase their dreams, and even though it's difficult, it's worth it. So I think that's been me in a elevator pitch, let's say.
Okay, so do you think that this is kind of in your DNA, or is it something that you have to learn or had to learn?
I think, it might have been in my DNA, but I had to do a lot of learning. It's not just a natural thing that stays there. You've got to practice, you've got to try, you've got to get out your comfort zone and do things. I remember in the beginning, I used to force myself to introduce myself to new people, go talk to people I didn't know. In the beginning, to talk in front of people was a major challenge as well, but once you start overcoming that, it gets easier and becomes more natural. And I think that's where sometimes people don't overcome it, don't try, don't get out that comfort zone, don't actually learn that they can learn to overcome these things. And I think that it becomes a habit. Once you're doing it, you actually see the benefits you get of networking, of communication, all the things that you're going to need today and tomorrow to have success in this world. So I think I did force myself. I was, I think Early on, I started understanding that I maybe overcompensated with my communication side to overcome maybe my written side. I had dyslexia, so my written side was less of a strength than my auditive side, to speak and to communicate. So I think we've got to find our strengths and somehow use those strengths to diminish your weaknesses. And I think in today's world, we sometimes work on our weaknesses and forget about our strengths. But I think the strength of communication and network, it's inside all of us. It just needs, a kickstart, and then slowly it gets going. And as you get more confidence, the more you do it. That's why, you always hear about people joining Toastmasters and things like that, and debate clubs, because, it is a skill nowadays that I think is going to become more and more important. So, yeah, I think you can grow into it. It's not just in your DNA.
Okay. Yeah, so for my background, I have been an entrepreneur all my life, and also came from a household where my parents had their own companies. So I'm kind of grown up in the office, and for me, it was totally natural to see that my parents worked lots of time, but for themselves. So they had their own idea what they want to create. So I would say for me, it is more like in my very early education, or perhaps even in my DNA, but as well, like, being an entrepreneur and reinventing myself over and over again, like, being an engineer and then being a consultant. It is like, okay, what is the next level? And you said, like, you have to focus on overcoming these challenges and step into it, and being strong and overcoming, like, the nice comfort zone. So,
and Swanette, you spoke about something, you touched on parents. I think as parents, we play a vital role in all of this. My dad wasn't a natural communicator. He was on the engineering side. So, normally engineers are more mechanical and handy and that. But what my dad did allow me to do was try things, and he let me fail. He wouldn't say, oh, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. He never introduced me with any of my weaknesses. He wouldn't say, oh, my son, he doesn't spell well, but, it's my son. And I think nowadays we have parents that almost make excuses for their kids. As they introduce you, they say, oh, my son is shy, so he doesn't speak much. And all of a sudden, you've been put in that box that you are shy and you don't speak. So I think as parents, and when you mentioned there, you were looking at your parents and you were getting, it was like training, but it was all in the good stuff, and I think we used to do a lot of that. And today we almost look at our kids and we say, how do we find something that's wrong with them and then just excuse them for that, but we don't build on that, and I think it's a really good thing for parents to think about and say, no, this is my son, he's really good at something, instead of, oh, this is my son and he's not so good at this. So little things like that are very, very important. So yeah, I think parents have this amazing influence and huge influence in learners, and we've got to know that and be very, very sensitive to it.
Yeah, absolutely. On the other hand, I also see that a lot of parents are at this stage where they really try to, make their children perfect. Like the little ones have to learn Chinese when they are 4, or like have to play the piano and being good in sports and everything. So that when they are, I don't know, 10 or 12, they are already in a burnout because they can't handle that. They are not.
And we actually don't give them time to find what they like, because they're so busy doing all this other noise. They actually don't find out if they like, if they do like music, they don't actually find that out. If they like horse riding, or if they like a sport, or if they like a language. And I think if we sometimes step back, let them try experiences, but not forcing them to do experiences. When they find something they like, they actually get that purpose, and then they really do a lot of it and grow. Instead of us living through them and telling them, this is what you should do, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. And we sort of like hover around them and don't let them find that purpose. And I think that's a scary thing and a very unfair thing, because if you look at the parents, as parents don't speak all these languages, they don't play all these instruments, they don't play well at sport, they're probably not in shape, and they want their kid to be this perfect kid that they can tell their friends they're perfect. And there is no perfection, and we actually do need them to find what they like and let them really get good at it so they can master that. If you look at many of the people that around the world, if you look at Ronaldo and tennis players, Nadal and all that, they found what they liked, and then they sort of did really well at that. They didn't get told, oh, you should also be swimming, you should also be speaking Chinese, you should also be, we let them flourish. And I think we get in their way a lot as parents, yeah.
Also, what I see is that when it is forced, the playfulness disappears. And if we don't learn with joy, then it is so hard, and we become serious so early, and not, even when we are adults, we don't have this spirit of playfulness and joy anymore while we are creating perhaps what our vision is. What do you think of that?
Yeah, for sure. As I say, I don't think we let kids be bored. We sort of fill up their day with a lot of things. We don't let them be bored. And I remember myself, when I was bored, I used to use my imagination. I used to think of things. I used to invent a game, play, and nowadays it's almost like you've got this program, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and you don't have that time to be bored and think and grow and have imagination. And I think that's a scary time, because we looked at this, and if you look at it in lots of countries now, and if you look at it even in your own country, in Germany, kids are not happy. Kids are going through anxiety and mental wellness problems and all these issues, and we keep just adding to them, instead of actually stepping back, letting them breathe, letting them, do 2 or 3 things and slowly getting into it. So 100%. I think we need to give kids a bit of space. I think as parents, we can't live our lives through them, because very soon they leave and they go on there and they have to fly. Let's hope. But the best thing we can give them is a lot of time and a lot of love. The rest, it's all just noise. Yeah.
You just spoke about creativity and intuition and being inspired by yourself. How does this come together with being an entrepreneur? Do you think that these are essential skills you need when you create your own vision and become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think these kinds of skills like creativity, persistence, all these, how to work with people, like getting along with people, all that, I think they're all vital. And I think those are the things that AI isn't going to take over. I think those are the things that if you want to be inspirational, you want to have a leadership role, if you want to follow your dreams, you're going to have to bring to the table. We're going to need leaders that understand about being inspirational, having a little bit of charisma, etc., but also how to execute, and telling people that the execution doesn't have to be seen as a big problem. That you can break it up into small bits and let everybody use their talent to do the portion they need to do to get to the final aim and success of a project. So I think it's very, very important. I often say that it's no longer good enough to think out of the box. I think you have to throw away the box, because only by throwing away the box do you not come back in the box when you're a little bit worried. And by not coming back in the box, you've got to face it, and you've got to come up with new ideas. You've got to come up with changing your business plan or pivoting at certain moments, etc. Calling in for certain help or more skills when you need them, etc. But that's really, I think, what the future leaders are going to be. It's all going to be about the kind of questions we answer or we ask to lead us in the right ways. Instead of only answering the questions, these leaders now are going to be about asking questions and finding people that can answer them together. So 100% this creativity and getting to become, to have really good human skills are going to become important, because it doesn't matter if you're working with techies or with, salespeople or HR people or clients or suppliers. It's going to be your relationships that actually make you have success or not. So, and relationships are still human. They're still very human. I stopped my emails in 2015 and I've always just worked on phone calls, SMSs, and then onto WhatsApp. And I think it keeps me a lot closer to humans than I did when I was getting emails, which would come in at funny tones. I would be CC'd and CC'd, and you know, in a way, it was not the best way to communicate. You know, and I found that my strength was actually to speak on the phone or to have a meeting or something like that. So I changed to that, and I think it's been a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, relationships are essential, no question about that. And with all the skills that make relationships working good. So when now AI comes in and AI takes over our communication and you have to argue with bots like I had the other day, and I thought, no, I don't want that. I want a human, please. How do you think this will change our interaction, our communication, and especially our relationships?
No, 100%. It's a big challenge. And I think, you know, it's like everything. It's going to come in waves. It's going to come in a big wave of AI. And then we're going to come back to people saying, oh, those people that are requesting humans are maybe, you know, requesting are so many that someone will come and supply the human touch again. So we do have to give it a bit of time, because at the moment, you know, I think AI will help a lot in many ways. You know, I look at AI in our own business. You know, it's able to prepare the lessons for our learners, so a teacher doesn't have to do that. It grades for us instead of us having to have the teachers grade. So what has it allowed? It's allowed our learning coaches, which are our teachers, to spend more time with every learner, talking about how's it going, where they're going, what they want to do. So motivating them to do the work, inspiring them by giving them opportunities to have experiences outside of BGA. So it's given us time with learners, which is actually what we should have always been doing. But, you know, we got stuck in paperwork and bureaucracy and lessons and grading and everything except the learners. Okay. So I think in that it's wonderful. I think, you know, are our learners using AI? Well, 100%. But, you know, what are we doing more? We're using more like verbal skills. So we'll have a session where they debate, or a session where we ask them to present. And obviously if they're presenting and talking, and even if they studied through AI, but they're knowing how to present, how to argue, etc., well, it means they learned. You know, it means that they're ready for it, etc. So it is, again, a useful tool. So we're not going to be able to block it all out. We're not going to be able to go backwards. You know, it is something and a technology that's here. It's going to stay. It's going to work. You know, do we have to be responsible? Yes, I think, you know, in AI you can be using it to do a lot of bad stuff. You know what I'm saying? But so can you with a knife and a this. So we're going to have to educate again and work with it. But I do think that you know, what it won't do is take away those skills that are human. So we do need to now concentrate back on human skills, which we were also forgetting for a long time. You know, we weren't. You know, we never teach creativity. We never teach problem solving. We never teach teamwork. We never teach maybe, you know, even things like financial planning or anything, you know, all those kind of things. It's now time to relook at it and say, what do we really need and what's being done by, you know, like you said, the bots, et cetera, et cetera. Because the bots, one day, they will also have a little bit more empathy, and in terms of, there will be a little bit more, a bit more comedian side to them, and they will understand a little bit more because they're getting better all the time. You know, so let's not compete on that. Let's compete on how do we then deal with people, because you're still going to have to close the deal. You're still going to have to convince people to do business with you, to forgive you, to try again once you screw up, to, you know, invest in you, etc. And they're still investing in you, not in AI, you know, so you still need to be able to sell all those skills.
Let me understand a little bit more about your Brave Generation Academy. So what is the mission that you have with this academy, and yeah, what drives you to first of all create this academy, but also to run it now?
Yeah, so this has become my life. You know, once I've started seeing the impact we create on young people, it's easy for it to become your purpose and your, you know, your focus in life. So our idea is really to offer this flexible, personalized, and relevant kind of education for today's world. and to democratize education so that we can take good quality education to wherever it's needed. So the flexibility side of it is, we use the best of online and offline. So we prepare everything. So it's these 25-minute lessons where you read, watch, listen, and then you do a quiz, get 85%, go to your next lesson. And that's done on a platform. But then, we take the best of offline. So we put it into a hub. So you're there with 30 learners, where you have, these 2 learning coaches supporting you. The learners are between 12 and 19. You're able to ask for help. You're able to work together. It's not, sit there and keep quiet. And all of a sudden, you know your aims. You know what you're busy doing in your platform. You know what your targets are. And also you get to choose curriculum. So, we've got the British International Curriculum. We've got the American Core Curriculum. We've got the UP program where at 16 you can start doing your degree with a bunch of universities that we've made agreements with. So all of a sudden you're able to understand why you're learning, why you're studying, and also focus more on what you're really good at and like. So if you're doing your British curriculum, it works that you're actually now able to write your exams 2 to 3 times a year instead of that once a year, which maybe it doesn't go well and that's it. You have to wait another year. No, if it doesn't go well in Jan, rewrite May or rewrite November. So you learn as in life. When you make a mistake or you fail something, you can redo it, and you normally get better results because you've had more experience. You've tried. The American curriculum, it's much more kind of project based and more general. But again, for some learners, that's what they need. So they're in the same hub and that's what they're doing. And then obviously UP, which is the unique pathway. At 16, if you're going to get into business, computer science, education, or psychology, you can actually start that at 16 and get your degree by 19. And instead of doing another 2 years and then university and then this and then a master's, you can actually start your master's at 20 and at the university you want with a degree already. So again, and the lovely thing about it is once you're over 18, you can have, we've got 60 hubs at the moment in around 8 countries that you can actually then do 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. So you get this experience of travel, working in different places, volunteering in different places, playing sport in different places, and that's education as well, while you're doing your degree and while you're traveling. So it starts to tick off boxes. So we're very excited because we actually see that we're bringing a whole different way of doing education to a broad range of people. We've got hubs in Namibia, Mozambique, South Africa, Kenya. In Kenya, we've got Kikuma Refugee Camp, which is, we provide a meal every day, and we have learners that are busy doing really good curriculums that will give them opportunities to study further or get a job. We've got kids in Gaza on our platform. We've got 16 girls in Afghanistan on our platform doing their university. So we've managed to ensure that where people need us, we're able to offer something. And then we also are able to offer it where about 35% of our learners are on scholarships. So, and our aim is to grow that. And we launched our Brave Future NGO in terms of trying to get other people that want to contribute a monthly fee or something to help learners learn. And the big thing about this is it's not a pilot. It's actually happening and happening every day and happening all the time. And with more kids joining it every day and more learners joining it every day, to the point where our biggest aim now is actually to get into public schools and start changing the traditional way of doing schooling. Because if we open in a public school, all of a sudden the learners that are in that school can find new ways that are more flexible to work. We sort of help them with anxiety of exams because they can write exams a little bit more often. We take away it's personalized instead of everybody at the same pace, and if you faster you can go faster, if you're slower you go slower. So it's all these little things that actually change the system, which then changes the outcomes of better wellness, mental wellness, less anxiety, all the things that our youngsters are like you mentioned, where sometimes by the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, they're at burnout and they're actually going through the worst period of their lives for no reason at all. it shouldn't be the worst period of their lives. You know, it should be a good time of their lives. So.
Who are the children who come in? Like, can they decide themselves that they're interested, or are the parents deciding that the children are not perhaps good at school, so they need a different way of learning? How is the process for a child to come in?
Yeah, so we get three types of learners, and these learners have to actually sign their first contract, probably for many of them, where they sign saying they want to come to BGA, not their parents. You know, in the end, you know, our responsibility is to the learner. You know, we got to make sure that the learner is happy, the learner is growing, not the parent. So the first thing is, if the parent wants them to come, but the learner doesn't want to come, they don't come. It's not, if they're happy in their school, or they just don't want to do BJ, not a problem. So they get to do what we call trial days, and if they want to do 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, up to them, and then they decide, they sign, they join. We get three types of learners. So we get those learners that are super academic, that want to do a lot of work and get stuff done. So, you know, for them, this system is wonderful, because if they want to do 10 GSEs, they can do it. If they want to do 6 A-levels, they can do it. So really great. Then we get those ones that are obviously a little bit more challenged with school. So they might just want to do a curriculum that's different, a curriculum that's more hands-on, etc. So, you know, we've got the American curriculum, or we've got that you do the British in a slower way, but not a problem either, you know, because you're going at your rhythm. And then we've got lots of sports people, you know, so that's a big chunk that actually want to follow some kind of passion. They know what they want, but they need the flexibility of doing school that fits. So instead of them doing school in their passion, they want to do horse riding in school, or they want to do, you know, surfing in school. And that's possible because of our online, offline system of doing the school, and they don't lose anything. They still have their friends, they still have their lifestyle, they have the whole system within BGA. So that's how it works.
Are there certain kind of tools you're using that are more inspiring, playful? You said that being in projects, for example, that are different from normal schools?
Yeah, so, you know, it's not that we've come up with this amazing thing that everything is different. No, we've just empowered them to run their system. So if you're doing the British curriculum, it's still very much, you've got to do this curriculum, but now we give you more videos. We give you different ways of explaining how to do it. We give you better exam preparation. Okay, so all those little things give you more confidence. And because you go at your pace, you sort of master better all the steps, instead of sometimes losing a step and then, you know, feeling like you lost. Okay, so that's one of the things. With the American curriculum and things like that, we actually, you know, it works on giving you credits on things you're more interested in. So if you are a very mathematician, you can do a lot more math. If you've got other skills, you can use more the other skills and do the maths needed to finish your curriculum. So it's really one-on-one there. And then obviously on the upside, on the university side, it's really about, we get you a mentor from the institution. So you have a mentor that meets with you every week. You've got your learning coaches, and it's all about hands-on experience. So it's very much project-based. It's very much proof of evidence. You've got to go try things out. You've got to go speak to companies. You've got to go and speak to people if it's psychology. You know, it's, so you build this portfolio of what you've been learning. And I think that's going to be a lot of the future, so that you don't just know the theory, but you actually test the theories in the real world, and you get to learn it and try it out. And that gives you a lot more learning power, you know. So those are the three things that we do.
Yeah, and I totally hear you. So I was very early into science, and I liked chemistry and biology and mathematics, but I could see that most of the other students were like, why do I have to learn like this in mathematics? I can't see where in life I would ever use this. I think that in school often the topics became so abstract that they are missing like the real world connection. So
exactly.
The children are not motivated to learn mathematics, and they can't see why.
Exactly. And also what's nice about our system is, like, we don't have football fields. We don't even have, we've got an area that you can heat up your food. There's water, there's, a fridge, but we don't have like canteens and any of that. So our learners actually do everything in the community. So they play tennis in the community. They get coached in the community. They play golf in the community. It's not, with us. So we open those doors and give them the time to do those things. But also we let them go negotiate discounts for their food, things like that, with the coffee shops around us, the restaurants around. So they actually also learn the skills of being in the real world, which is something that sometimes learners only learn when they go to a university or something like that. Yeah, they start learning it a lot younger, and also those experiences, what we call our 20-hour shadowing program. So you go and you do 20 hours at a vet or an architect or with someone that you learn something and you actually then understand what they do, how they do it. And if it's something you want to do or not want to do, it's also good if you realize, hey, that's not what I want to do. And I think these little things make a big difference. When you start adding them all together, many parents look at me and say, so my child's changed. It's no longer the same. He's got more confidence. He's speaking. He's thinking. He's taking responsibility. And those are all things that the parents actually thought the kids didn't have. Oh, my kid he's not responsible. He doesn't think for himself. He's got no initiative. But it's true. If you don't give them those opportunities, they don't grow. They don't have it, so it's simple. Yeah.
What do you see are the outcomes like when the children have gone through your program? Like you said already, that they are more set up for the real world and starting with their expertise very early. But can you give me some more examples? Like what could you see when they are through has really changed, and how are they set up for the business world?
Yeah, I think the first thing you see from our kids is they're a lot more happier and a lot more confident. Okay, automatically when you walk into our hubs, you see that the kids have confidence. They're talking. They're happy. They want to come to the hub. So that's a good thing already compared to maybe traditional schools where they don't want to be there. They don't know why they want to be there. Our school, there is no holidays, so it's open all year. So you decide when you go on holidays. It's open from 8 till 6. You decide how you do your 5 hours, at what time, etc. So they also have more responsibility on that, because they have to deliver and they're more accountable. So these little things, obviously, once they do go to a university, they've got these skills. They're already more accountable, a lot more responsible. We've got kids that go to top universities. We've got other kids that we've got kids now that are actually going directly and doing their pilot's license. So they don't actually want to do tertiary education. They want to get that skill. So great, there they go. They're busy working on that. We've got other kids that take a gap year. And we've got other kids that actually carry on with our program. About 78 kids now are on the UP program. So they go through the UP program, but they're using that UP program at the same time they're having other experiences. So it's a mix, and that I think the secret of BGA is that you don't have to do what everyone does. You can be individual, you can find your talent, you can find your path, and then you follow it. Now, sometimes your path, it's a bit of from year to year. There's a few circles, but that's okay because once you find it, we'll help you to get to the end. And in many places, no, it's very tough. If you're not the same as everybody else, you almost don't get to the end, or you get to the end, but you're scarred and you're not happy. So that's what we see is the first thing is they're a lot happier, a lot more positive, and we need these positive people, happier people, because they normally actually become quite entrepreneurial, not just in opening businesses, but even in their mentality, and I think that's what our businesses are looking for. So our businesses need people that have got the right attitude, that are driven, that are happier, that know they can make a mistake and then just redo it and learn from it and grow from it. So that's what we want to have.
Mm. And you shared that your vision is at the moment to go into normal schools to support there. Can you share more about this vision, what you want to create in the, next 2 years?
Yeah, so we've already got into the first few ones. So we've opened in Durban High School, Huguenot High School. We've got a few more high schools that we're busy opening into. We're hoping that we'll also get into some Portuguese schools, so we're very close to doing that. We're opening in a school in Switzerland. So yes, I think, we know that the problem with traditional education is how do you change it? It's very difficult. It's been that way for 200 years. How do you change it? So we want to come in with what we call BGA in a school. We put in the BGA, the learners are yours, every day they work to your code of conduct, your ideas, etc. But, they've got this flexibility in the education, the different curriculums, the different way of doing it, etc., etc. So automatically your school becomes a lot more flexible, personalized, and relevant. And that's what we want to do so that we can reach as many learners as possible instead of, limiting it to where we're going, opening the hubs, etc. We're now able to make an impact directly where the learners are with the school, where parents are looking for something different and learners are looking for something different, with sportsmen that are in the school that need the flexibility, etc.
Yeah, okay. And do you have also a relationship with companies or organizations that would like to join your Brave Generation Academy to support the learning process of these children? Because you said it's also real life, and school is one thing, even you create it in a different way, but being in an organization and figuring out how this works very early makes a difference.
So our learning coaches, one of their responsibilities is to make partnerships. So they look around and they say, look, there's a cookie factory over there. Let's make a partnership that if one of our learners wants to go understand, how to make cookies, how to distribute cookies, etc., there you go. Okay. If an auditing firm, an accounting firm, for the learner who wants to know what is accounting, how does it work, well, they can do the shadowing there. So it's very important for us. That's why I say our school is normally the hub of 200 square meters, but then our reach is the whole community. And the amazing thing is that every time you go and ask someone about, look, we're a school in your community and we would like to get experiences with your on what you're doing, they're actually very open to it. It's not like, oh no, we don't want kids here, we don't want to teach anyone. They do. And I think in the future, we're probably going to be working even with companies on the curriculum they need to employ the people with skills. Because a lot of them, if you talk to the companies, they actually complain, our kids arrive here, they don't have the skills we need, they don't have this, they don't have that. Well, then tell us, what do you need? Then let's start putting it in the curriculum and let's start changing the curriculum accordingly. So you might need your, let's call your Ministry of Education curriculum, but then you could do the plus, and the plus could be something that actually works toward that company, because I think if a lot of learners, if they were given the opportunity to work for SpaceX or to Tesla or to, all these exciting companies out there, by doing their curriculum and then going and doing the apprenticeship there, they would do it. Maybe not even only choose universities, but use that as their university. So I think it's exciting times that we're living in where that's going to become more and more possible. So let's see.
Yeah, well, this sounds amazing. And I can guess that if you can offer a student the possibility to go into one of these companies and really early on learn about what is needed as a skills there, they are motivated because they can see like, okay, this is something that I would like to do for the future. So there is like an intrinsic motivation and not something from outside that tells, oh, you have to learn this and this so that you can then later on do whatever. I think that intrinsic motivation to get this running is super important.
And I think also what's amazing is that we can start teaching lifelong learning, because that's going to be the future for humans, because they might learn the SpaceX curriculum over a year and go and work there for 3 years. But, they then, if they want to go work at Blue Origin, they'll get one of the skills for Blue Origin, learn it and go work there for 2 years. And then if they want to get into something totally different, well, it's possible because, again, as I said, it always depends on their attitude, on their self-motivation, their what's it called, their own initiative on doing things like that. And those are the people that companies want. And I think companies are also realizing that they're no longer going to employ people for 30 years. You know, it's going to be 2-3 years, get the best out of them, and then they move on and they go grow somewhere else. But maybe they can even come back to that company with more skills, so it's not a problem. You understand? So we're in this market where I think things are changing very quickly, and our education is far behind, not adapting, not changing fast enough, and actually not leading, which it should be leading, but it's not. So I think we're going to need an ecosystem in education that's going to come up with a lot of new solutions, a lot of new ways of doing it. We're going to need all the stakeholders in this education system. So we're going to need companies and government and parents and learners and that are all involved to make this happen, because it is a mind shift. It's like, we were comfortable. Our grandparents went to a school that I went to, the same. My parents knew my school because it was like their school. But now, with BGA and other initiatives, and there's so many amazing stuff that's going to come out, we need to start connecting to these new initiatives and saying, okay, how do we do it? How do we embrace this innovation instead of being a blocker or just being even afraid of it? We can't. We need to try it all out and see which ones work and let them grow, organically.
Yeah, I totally hear you, and I can see that curiosity in this lifelong learning is definitely within my DNA. I'm always curious about what is coming next, and I want to understand that. Perhaps even the engineer is there having this analysis, what is going on, and let me understand this. And so being as a consultant in so many different projects and with so many different companies, it was always like, okay, this is new. I don't know these company within, of course not. But then being part of the team, it was like, okay, I have to learn this and I have to learn this and understand this. And it is like, okay, I'm growing and growing and growing. And now I would say I could cover all the walls with different certificates. But at the same time, it is like a lot of wisdom that is now there that I can use, and the openness to learn, and this mindset of, okay, if something is coming next, I'm able to understand this and adapt on that as well.
And Swanette, that's what takes away the anxiety from you. That's what lets you sleep at night, because people that aren't going to have that are going to really stress. They're going to, wonder about what is their future. And if you've got the skills, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, and I can see the emerging future. So this, just as a side note, I had a near-death experience when I was 8 years old, and since then my sixth sense is open, so I can kind of predict what is the emerging future. So I'm not afraid of that, but sometimes I see, okay, if we don't handle things right, then this can be not good for humanity. But at the same time, if we handle it right, you said, it's like the knife, use it correctly, and let's support AI humanity and not vice versa, then it is amazing, and something beautiful can be created, and it can be supportive and help us in our own growth.
No, that's it. And that's the mindset we need.
Yeah. So do you have any challenges at the moment with Brave Generation Academy?
Thousands of challenges. A main one is really education ministries that still believe education should be done the way it's been done for a long time. So if you look at education ministries, they really, anti-change. They sort of don't want to do the change. And every year they just do the same thing over and over, and they're experiencing bigger problems doing the same thing over and over. So more and more learners don't have teachers. There are less teachers, etc. But yet they don't, use technology to assist with this. They're still fighting all this. I think our curriculums don't change fast enough in terms, if they were more digital, we could be giving things that are more relevant for today. So I think that's our biggest one, is this mindset. So it all comes down to mindset. If we're fighting mindsets. We find, the ministry, then, there are parents where the learners probably need BGA, want BGA, but then the parents are wanting, their kids to suffer like they did at school because they say, hey, that's the way it was, that's the way it should be. So another one there. And then obviously we also hoping that we'll overcome the sustainability side of it in terms of we would like to get to the point where one day it's free BGA, where the public school actually just has a BGA and people can go to it. So I think those are our main challenges. But the biggest one, I would say, if it were to be just in one sentence, would be, changing mindsets. How do we change the mindset for a world that has changed? How do we be once more lead and not just have education that follows?
Yeah. And of course, in former generations, it was necessary. If you go into manufacturing or something, then you have to repeat what has been said and don't think out of the box or don't even have a box. But in this time, the entrepreneurial mindset is needed more than ever, especially as AI, quantum computing, and all these tools are coming up, and our old way of behaving doesn't fit together with this anymore.
Correct.
So what would be one thing that would totally change what you're creating at this moment? Like if this would come in, it would totally change in what you're creating.
I think, I would say that if we add legislative support on opening up education and really allowing personalized education. Like if we, if it became more open, if the funnel was open, I think that would, bring in amazing projects. Because I'm not speaking about BGA, I'm speaking about a whole bunch of talented people that have got amazing projects that they're busy working on, from, financial literacy, from human skills, from a whole bunch of things that are really amazing that's going on there. But, the legislation stops you from doing anything. So it's very, very difficult. So I think that would be a big thing that would change. Now, for us, we decided that we wouldn't work with what legislation allows, that we would work with what is correct, what's right, what should we be doing that's right. And that's what's exciting for us. Is we're doing what's right. Legislation will catch up. One day people will look and say, you see, it was best that we did what was right and not what was allowed. Because I think in history, it's proved itself that sometimes you do what's allowed is wrong. And so, as we're working in education, I think we do need to be brave. We do need to believe in what we're doing. And when we look at it, we see where learners that have joined us have started and ending up, and how they're looking during the journey, it excites us to keep doing it. So I think it's, if we could get more people out the way, more people on board, I think it would make an amazing, amazing impact.
Yeah, wow, this sounds amazing. Absolutely. And we can see this also, of course, in entrepreneurial world, that there are so many regulations and so many laws that stop us from being really creative. Of course, we need, in some cases, we need regulations, but I think we are overruled, and this is.
I think when there's more legislation that kills opportunities, I think we in a mess. When things don't make sense anymore, where legislation stops good things from happening, I think we're on the wrong track, and we definitely need to come back and relook at a lot of legislation, a lot of bureaucracy. How do we remove that all the way? Because for many entrepreneurs, it's not the salary they make, it's the opportunities they're allowed to chase, the dreams they're allowed to build. And, especially in Europe at the moment, our dreams are very limited. Our talent is not allowed to be used. You're sort of even punished if you try to use your talent, and maybe rewarded if you don't do anything. So I'm as an entrepreneur, I'm actually against incentives and subsidies. I would prefer, that everybody pays lower taxes, that everybody has, less legislation that stops them from reaching things and doing things, because that's the only way we're going to be a proactive population, a proactive continent, and actually compete with others, and instead of just getting older, lazier, and slower. So we need to. You look at Germany at the moment; it's in a very difficult situation because it's almost like stagnant, and it doesn't have a plan to lead again, and it's a lot of its traditional industries are collapsing. And the mindset isn't there to let's lead again or let's do something. It's like shock. It's in shock. It's like when a deer sees the headlights. And in France, again, lots of legislation, lots of things that take time. In Portugal, it's high taxes. You look at our entrepreneurs and what they pay in taxes and all that. It's difficult to pay better salaries. The social securities are high. The taxes that you pay are high. So you sort of like limited on everything you can do. Instead of growing this cake of Europe, we almost just trying to find out who gets a few crumbs. And that's not a long-term strategy.
Yeah, and people who are entrepreneurs or have this mindset often leave the countries. Like they go to other places where they can work more freely, where they have tax reduction and have the possibility.
Yeah, you look at it. A lot of our top entrepreneurs go out to the US, they go out to the Middle East now. The Middle East is attracting a lot of people, and then we even look at it, even Eastern Europe is attracting our talent. And so it's really, we've got this like really brain drain of people that are just looking at working opportunities and chasing their dreams. And those are the people we can't afford to lose. Those are the people that are going to look after the people that don't have dreams, that don't have initiative to start things and actually just want to maybe have a stable job or a subsidy. But if you don't have these other people, everybody's going to suffer.
Absolutely. So if people are now curious, where can they find Brave Generation Academy and you?
So I know you out in Madeira, so we have one in Funchal as well. So we have a BGA there, which you need to go visit. It's the two learning coaches is Luca from Holland. She's a lady from Holland, and she's there. And then we've got Hidetaka from Japan, the two learning coaches, and lovely hub over there. But then we've got another 33 hubs, I think, in Portugal, and then another 30 odd hubs around the world. So the best place to look at it is at bravegenerationacademy.com. If you look at it there, you can contact us there. It's got contact info, and try it out. I think the risk here is not trying it out. If you try it out and you don't like it, great experience. If you try it out and you like it, awesome experience. It is what it is. And I think sometimes people need to not worry about the risk of not doing something, but do it and trying to find an experience in that as well.
Yeah, and we can always learn. Like I'm sure even if I would go in and I've learned a lot, I still can learn something in your Brave Generation Academy. So I will go there. I'm curious and see how this is for me.
Yeah, 100%.
Last but not least, is there anything that you would like to share that I didn't ask you?
No, I think we've covered quite a bit. Yeah, I do think we're in a place at the moment in the world where we think we can't overcome all these challenges. We've got all these global challenges, and then we've got all this climate challenge, and we've got all these things. But I think we've always been there. I think we've always had challenges, and what we do need to do is allow these challenges to be overcome with good people that want to overcome these challenges, that want to make an impact in these challenges. And I think we need leadership in government institutions, in business institutions, to allow people to come up with solutions, with challenges, like with solutions to these challenges. And I think if we do that, if we step out the way, if we become a little bit more open-minded, I think we will overcome a lot of this. And also, I think it will change the mindset of the world. I think it will also make us all more positive, which is one of those things that we all need. I think there's there's a line in Hotel Marigold, which says, you know, in the end, everything will be okay. If it's not okay, it's not the end. And I think that's the attitude we must have, is that we need to keep working, because it's not the end. And, you know, everything will be okay. Until then, it's not the end. You know, so I think that's what we've got to do.
Yeah, nice ending. So, Tim, thank you so much for being my guest on this show today and for sharing about yourself, about Brave Generation Academy and your vision. Thanks so much.
Excellent, Swanet. Yeah, pleasure. And I look forward to your visit at BGA in Funchal.
Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Subscribe now and be part of an amazing movement that is revolutionizing industries, protecting our planet, and is driving humanity towards a thriving and better future. Together, let's break business boundaries and ignite positive innovation. Join us today.